Welcome back. So now that we know our table setup, we know we need a Shangri ID on the actual video entity. And again, the Shangri ID belongs to the video entity, not the video model. Very important stuff, but I'll show you that in a second. Before we go there, I just want to talk about how I'm going to solve this first. The first step I want to try and use is the conventions that Microsoft built for us. So if you go into Microsoft's own documentation right here, you find Entity Framework, you find relationships under Create Model, you can find that they are using these conventions. You can go and read it all. It's like a 20-minute read about relationships, actually in software. And these conventions right here are actually a way for Microsoft to just, from different properties and different names inside your entities, they can define how the table should look. They can define the entire database schema actually from different properties, and they'll try and help you out building the database as it should look. So what we are going to do is we're going to try and jump into the code and try to add this new Shangri ID and see if we get what we want. So step one is I'm inside the video entity right here. I've not changed anything else. And here I want to add a new thing. I want to add a property, and it's going to be an int, and it's going to be the Shangri ID. Now this is a complete copy of what I just showed you guys in the drawing, right? The Shangri ID. I want to put that inside the video entity now to get it into the video table right here. So now we have this available. Now we should use it. So I'll jump into my video application context, because here I create a couple of videos, and right now they don't relate to these two, horror and comedy right here. So let me add the first one. Shangri ID is going to be equal to 1. That's the one up here for the horror. And actually Shangri ID here, whoops, should be equal to 2 because this is going to be a comedy. There we go. So now we have two different videos available, which actually also know what relation they have to the Shangri entity now. So that's how easy it is to kind of build the relations in the data set. Now we're not quite there yet, but let's restart the server. There we go. Let's restart the server right here and just to show you what actually happens. Because even though we now set up the relation, the Entity Framework doesn't know it's a relation yet, not for real at least. So let's try and have a look right here. If you look at the way we create the database, I feel it's a good idea to start understanding the SQL code that's being generated in order to really use the Entity Framework for the fullest. So look right here. It says create table of videos. And here you can see the new thing, the Shangri ID down here. This is a new thing. Now the Shangri ID doesn't have any constraints or anything like that. This, for instance, the ID has a constraint of primary key, but you don't see anything with the Shangri ID. So it doesn't know that the Shangri is actually a constraint with a foreign key for another table. It doesn't know that yet. So even though it looks like we added the Shangri ID, it doesn't know that this relation is available. So it doesn't know there's a foreign key right here that points to the Shangri ID right here, the primary key. We have to fix that. So let's try and go back and figure out how we can do that. Now, if we go and read the conventions and we scroll further down, you'll see that they're actually using not only the block ID in this case, but also an actual block. So that means maybe we have to do a bit more work in our entity. And what we'll do is we'll add another property, and that property will actually be the Shangri entity. And let's just call it Shangri right here to kind of give it a name. And now with this, we have set it up. So it actually will work. So let's try and rerun this now and see what happens. Now it should actually automatically, with these conventions, it should actually automatically go and say, okay, I can see there's a relation between video and Shangri. I can see that right here because I'm using the Shangri entity in the video entity. And here's an ID with the same name like the Shangri entity, so I guess that must be the foreign key. So let's go back and check out our table code right here. And now you'll notice not only are we creating the table now with the Shangri ID, we're actually also creating a relation constraint right here with a foreign key constraint. And the foreign key should be Shangri ID, which is this guy right here. And it references the Shangri table's ID. And it cascade deletes right now. We can fix that later. But for now, it will delete cascade-wise if possible. So that's actually it for this video. Now we've just created a table where we have a relation between Shangri and video by adding a Shangri ID on the video entity. Next lesson, we'll have even more fun with this, where we'll start working with the Fluent API. See you next time. Bye.